Jesus Christ, life-changing quotes. He sat alone in a public restroom, clutching a bottle of sleeping pills. Everything had collapsed: family, love, faith. But then, one sentence echoed in his mind. A sentence from a book he used to despise. "I have come that they may have life, and have it more abundantly." In that moment, death lost its power. Daniel used to be strong, or so he appeared. As a child, Daniel was cheerful and full of life. He loved his mother more than anything. But that smile disappeared when Daniel was 9 years old. His mother died of cancer. His alcoholic father grew more violent by the day. Home no longer felt safe. It was a cold battlefield. Daniel grew up in silent agony, with one belief engraved in his heart. If there's a God, why did he let my mom die? At 17, he ran away. He did odd jobs: dishwashing, lifting trash, janitorial work. But behind the hardened exterior was a crushed soul, starved for love. Daniel hated religion passionately. He once punched a wall when he saw a flyer with Jesus' face on it. He scoffed when friends invited him to church. Once, he shouted at a street preacher, "Where was your God when my mother died in pain? I've survived this life on my own, without any God." He believed in one thing: self-reliance. And that was what eventually destroyed him. At age 35, Daniel lost his job due to alcohol. His girlfriend left him after a huge argument. Friends stopped calling. His apartment was nearly empty: a broken fridge, a torn mattress, and half a bottle of wine. On a cold winter evening, Daniel wandered into a public park restroom in a fog of numbness. He sat on a toilet seat, pulled out a bottle of sleeping pills, and stared at it. He didn't want to live anymore. No one cared. No one would notice. No one was waiting for him. Just as he prepared to open the bottle, his eyes caught something on the bench near him. A small, black, worn-out book. A Bible. He almost brushed it away. But his hand froze. He picked it up. It was already open, to Mark 10 verse 21. Jesus looked at him and loved him. Daniel stared at that sentence. And in that moment, he saw his mother's eyes. Eyes that once looked at him just like that. He began to cry. Tears spilled onto the page. He flipped through a few more trembling pages. Then, his eyes fell upon this. "I have come that they may have life, and have it more abundantly." John 10 verse 10. Abundantly? He whispered. "I've never even had a normal life, let alone abundance." But something sparked in his chest. Not religion, not law, but a person whispering to his soul, "Daniel, I see you, I know you, and I still love you." As Daniel sat there stunned, an older black man walked in. He wore a weathered coat and had kind eyes. He looked at Daniel and asked gently, "You okay, son?" Daniel shook his head. The man sat down quietly beside him, then smiled and spoke slowly. "I once sat in this exact spot, ready to end it all. But I read something that changed me. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me." Matthew 16 verse 24. That was the day I started over. Daniel looked up, startled. But before he could ask anything, the man stood up, walked out, and vanished into the night. Daniel walked out of the restroom, still holding the Bible tightly in his hand. He whispered, "Jesus, if you still want me alive, then I will live for you." Snow fell lightly on his head. His feet were frozen, but his heart was thawing. He passed by a small church. Its golden lights spilled warmly onto the sidewalk. A voice inside sang softly, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound." Daniel paused at the door. A woman opened it, smiling kindly. "Would you like to come in?" And he stepped inside, his very first step into a brand new life. I was addicted, angry, bitter, broken. But Jesus didn't give me a sermon. He gave me one sentence at a time. And every time he spoke, a chain fell off. Daniel sat at the back of the church that night, his heart pounding like a drum. He didn't know the songs. He didn't know the people. He didn't know how to pray. But he felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Safe. That night, he didn't say much. He just cried quietly, clenching the Bible he found. After the service, an old woman walked over and gently held his hand. "God doesn't care where you've been," she whispered. He cares where you're going. Daniel nodded. He didn't know it yet, but he had just taken his first step as a disciple. The next morning, Daniel returned to the church. And the next. He joined Bible study, asked questions, and listened. One day, someone read aloud, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11, verse 28. He froze. That verse hit him like lightning. He was the weary. He was the burdened. And for the first time, he realized Jesus wasn't demanding anything. He was inviting. "I'm not here to judge you," the verse seemed to say. "I'm here to carry what's crushing you." Daniel whispered, "Then take it, Lord, take it all." 6 months passed. Daniel was sober, steady, and learning to pray. But one thing still haunted him. His father. That man who'd beaten him, cursed him, blamed him. He found out his father was in a nursing home, dying, alone. Daniel hesitated, but then remembered Luke 6, verse 27. "Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you." He took a deep breath, walked into the nursing home, and stood before the broken old man who once broke him. His father stared, confused, then whispered, "Daniel, son, I'm sorry." And Daniel held his hand. "I forgive you, Dad. And Jesus has too." A year into his new life, Daniel was driving home from church when a truck ran a red light and slammed into his car. He woke up in a hospital with a broken leg, mounting bills, and no job again. He was angry, tempted to drink. He stared at the ceiling and cried, "Why, Lord? Why now? I thought we were past this." And then, as if on cue, he remembered what he had underlined in his Bible just weeks before. "For nothing will be impossible with God." Luke 1, verse 37. He clutched that verse like a rope hanging over a cliff. That night, he didn't drink. He prayed. The next morning, someone from the church showed up at the hospital with flowers, food, and paid his bill. Daniel wept. "This is the body of Christ," he whispered. Over the next 2 years, Daniel healed physically, emotionally, spiritually. He began volunteering at shelters, helping addicts, praying for the broken. Then the pastor asked him, "Would you share your testimony at Sunday service?" Daniel hesitated, but then he remembered. Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story. Psalm 107, verse 2. He stepped up to the pulpit. With tears in his eyes, he told the church how Jesus saved him one sentence at a time. 3 years later, Daniel became a full-time chaplain at a Christian rehab center. Every week, he looked into the eyes of addicts, inmates, and runaways and said, "I know where you are, because I was there too, and I know who can bring you out." He shared verses not like lectures, but like lifelines. "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8, verse 32. Jesus didn't just tell me I was wrong. He showed me I was loved. Daniel often says, "It wasn't a preacher, a program, or a punishment that changed me. It was Jesus, speaking words that pierced my darkness. One sentence at a time, he rewrote my story. He sent his word and healed them." Psalm 107, verse 20. Jesus speaks. Chains fall. Lives change.